Coach Axtell, great to see you. Thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach season preview. You are the first.
Nice.
You're the first of many, right? Like you're the first. You're a longtime supporter, so always appreciative of that. I kind of took a hiatus a little bit after the season. Just a lot of things going on. And I just needed a break.
That's the Simple Coach periodization, right? I mean, you can't be on all the time. You got to rest up. You got to have an off season too, man.
You know what's crazy? I don't know how much I mentioned this, but I had appendicitis in August, and felt like I struggled through the season after I recovered. Like I had surgery and sort of got through it and just couldn't. And then by December, I was like, I just need to stop. And so I stopped till you.
Open it back up.
I reached out to like my standards. There's like 10 coaches that I'm like, oh, I just love talking to. So you consider yourself lucky. You are one of those in the hallowed halls of Simple Coach favorites. So
love it. Extremely lucky. Happy to be here.
Yeah. All right, so I just want to talk about your upcoming season, sort of what your thinking is right now. I think you graduated quite a few guys, so I think I never think you guys rebuild. You're one of the teams that I think kind of reloads. And so I'm just curious sort of what your current thinking is about the fall.
Yeah, I mean, whatever verbiage you want to use towards it, it will be a different team. That's for sure. I mean, it'll be a lot of different humans out there. So yeah, I mean, first and foremost, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've got quite a few guys that we're really confident in house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think as we should. You know, if we're doing our job of developing and being competitive, you know, you have to have your standard 4-year guys that get better every year and kind of buy in, and we have those, so that's good. I really like our leadership. I think that's kind of like been a hallmark of ours, and we work really hard at it, so it's no surprise, but I like where those kids are at. You know, all of our older guys that are going to be coming back, great people, good kids, work extremely hard, hold a high standard. I mean, all of the things that you would want, so I'm really happy with them. But we've also got like 23 new kids coming into the group. So who knows?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of like a coin flip to this whole operation going into the fall too that is just unknown. And, you know, until we see them all in August and where they're all at and how they gel. And I don't know. I mean, you've been doing this long enough too that you could have a collection of really good players that don't really amount to much. You can have a collection of guys that you don't predict to be great and somehow they just gel and they do great. So
I've been, since doing this, I'm like, what is the secret sauce? Because then I would package it and then I would sell it to all of you guys for gobs of money. Like, here's the secret sauce. Right. And I've come to the realization that there is no secret sauce, because you're right. The amount of guys or coaches I've talked to have said, man, this could be the year. This could be the year. And then it's not the year.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, yeah, we got nothing. And then suddenly, for whatever reason, something clicks and they go on this tear. It's just unpredictable as unpredictable can be.
For sure. And that's individual players too.
Yeah.
I mean, every time you have new players and recruits, I mean, in your head, you kind of think who's going to be the most successful right from the jump. And they always kind of prove you wrong. And you'll have kids that you think might need a year that all of a sudden just adapt super quick and they get it. So,
I also think when it comes to the individual players, it's hard to tell year in, year out, even the guys you know, right? Like, for whatever reason, like they come into a camp better one year than the next year, or just more prepared, something, right? Like, because always forget they're young adults just trying to make their way, right? And I think that's the.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's life too, right? I mean, that's even us. I mean, you were just talking about how, this fall felt very different just because of life circumstance for you. And I mean, every kid has their own life soccer is most of their kind of primary identity, but that doesn't mean there isn't 6 or 7 other things that are really important to them that affect mood and motivation.
Yeah. I think that's the it's funny because I think I've mentioned this to you before. I find that's part of the equation so much more interesting than watching a game and the X's and O's, right? Like it's to me, it's like how do you take these guys who non-professional athletes and sort of hone them into something and get them to be receptive to something. I find that so much more intriguing and interesting and
Yeah,
complicated.
I'm much more of that type of coach than an X's and O's. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't put myself in a room of X's and O's guys, and I wouldn't speak. I just wouldn't feel, you know. But the culture stuff,
Yeah.
I'm a people person. Like I've
Yeah.
been in that world for 20 years.
Yeah.
Uh, just like seeing patterns in people and
Mm.
synthesizing experiences that people have gone through, and at the core of it, like I think I'm just more of a teacher educator than I
Yeah.
am like pure soccerist,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I like the people aspect a lot more, anyways.
So knowing that you're knowing sort of where you're at or not knowing where you're at is a
Not
better way.
knowing. Yeah.
Not knowing. Like, what's your thinking just on sort of what you're hearing about the SUNYAC and how that's going to look and shape out and what you're in? I don't want to say anticipating, but what you're going to expect, what you think you can expect for this year.
Um, I mean, our goal is always to be at the top of it, but I feel like the coaches that are in the SUNYAC are just incredible. So, I mean, it's just hard to like. I think it's hard to have the goal of just being the best every year, right? Like everybody's trying to do it, and there's really good people trying to do it, and good schools that are trying to do it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of that, right? Like, there's the usual suspects, and there's a lot of guys that are just, I mean, they're just recruiting like crazy and doing like really good things, and their teams are really good. Like, I think Division III soccer as a whole is like just keeps going up. The Division I world of all the money and all of that just keeps going up, and resources is just kind of dragging Division III up with it. And there's a lot of guys doing great things. So, who knows? I don't know how the conference is going to shake out. I don't have a bet either way. But the conference in general, it's changing like a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
Schools are realigning and joining, and
A lot
like
of
you
adjusting I noticed this year. Just
yeah,
athletics in general, I think, at the
for sure.
Division III level, just trying to sort all the noise out that's coming down from
Yeah.
NIL and all that stuff. But
So like this will be New Paltz's last year in the conference with us. So there's like some just evolution of the conference that's going to
yeah,
keep happening.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean the top 5 or 6 at least are like could do it.
yeah,
They could have their year and they could do it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
who knows? I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but I it's too unpredictable of a game
yeah,
to
yeah,
think that it's going to happen a certain way. It's
yeah.
almost like you got to look at it in reverse. You got to get to November, and then I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then we'll go back and record pretending it's the summer.
that's right.
You're
Yeah,
like, oh, I think this is going to happen. Yeah.
that's
Uh,
right. Yeah.
Make you look like a genius. We could do that. I'm okay with that. I'm not proud. We can do
Yeah, just
that.
predate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, I mean, are you planning anything different, like especially for preseason? Or are you just sort of, hey, I always wonder this. The players are the players. You have your style. Are you changing this, maybe the style or sort of what you're looking to do on the field based on what you think you have, or you just sort of know that you have certain things that you want to do, and that's what we're going to do?
Yeah, I'm more of a let's collect all the pieces and then try and put them together in August rather than know the puzzle that I want to put together and make kids fit into
Yeah,
those specific pieces, right?
yeah,
So I'm less of a planning out and more of a let's just, kind of do what we do on days 1 and 2 and see where we are and then
yeah,
see what we need. That's a little bit more of my style in terms of preseasons and getting teams ready. Some years you're just naturally a little bit
yeah,
more attack heavy, or all of your midfielders are returners, and they
yeah,
they don't need a lot of work
yeah.
tactically, and so you just focus your efforts in places that need the most work.
Right.
They kind of give you the most bang for your buck when day one starts.
Yeah. And how's Colby doing? I do have to ask
He's
that.
great.
Yeah.
He's great. He's a little perturbed. I think his team lost in State Cup over the weekend.
Oh my gosh, fire him. Just get rid of him.
Uh,
Like you cannot have that kind of losing mentality.
They're like tied in regulation, and it's still like rival club too. So
Yeah.
they tied in regulation. They scored first in overtime, and then the other team scored to tie it with like 30 seconds left. Went to
Yeah.
penalties, lost to penalties. It was like the whole, emotional swing game for him. Uh,
If
yeah,
I was there, I think I would hug him. I would just sort of like, dude, it's okay. It'll be okay.
yeah. But no, he's great. Like he's
Yeah.
crushing it. He's I don't know if any ads are ever listening to this. Like he's ready.
Yeah.
So
Really.
yeah, like he's so good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a part of our program right now that he's not like intimately running, directing,
Yeah.
managing.
Much to your happiness. Like, you're like, hey, I don't have to worry about that. Colby's got it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's going to
fantastic.
be a huge adjustment for me, just personally, like life wise,
Yeah.
when he does find that next job to, kind of have to retrain someone else. He's been here for 3 years. Usually that first year is me learning them learning the
Yeah,
team
yeah,
and the school and how to recruit. It's all of that. But he's at a point now where he's just like fully autonomous. If anything, he like keeps track of me. And he's like, "Hey, we got this."
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah.
So my life has changed a
Keeps your
ton.
schedule. You have to go here now, Steve. Go.
Yeah, I mean, he does that with recruiting. He's like, "This Friday, I need you here at noon."
Yeah.
Like he just manages it, which is great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, anyways, yeah, he's ready. He's killing it. He's so good at what he does. I'm so fortunate to have him, just from Cortland, but also like my personal life too, and
Yeah,
time
yeah.
with kids.
Yeah.
To have someone that you can fully trust and spread the
Yeah.
work out to is, it's a blessing.
Invaluable.
So,
Invaluable. One of the next
yeah,
episodes I want to do at some point, I got to figure out how to do it. It's kind of hard, just the nature of Division III to sort of corral that. It's like the guys in training. Like the assistant coaches are training to become head coaches, and you see so many great coaches that come out that have been assistants, and it's an area I'd love to figure out how to highlight, because like Colby in my interview with him, really impressive guy, knows his stuff.
yep,
There's 50 other guys, 100 other guys that you're like, these guys are the future of the game, right? Like they're going to come
for sure.
into a program, and I just always
And
intrigued by that.
anytime like a big job comes up, you kind of know like the 5 or 6
Yeah,
assistants,
yeah,
in the area where you're like, they're definitely going to be going for it.
yeah.
Next one's in line.
Yeah. I,
He's definitely in line for that
yeah.
now.
It's interesting too, because you want to, it's getting the right program. It's finding the right program to get a job at, right? Like I do think like you don't like you just not every place is the same. Not every athletic department is the same, and so there's a lot of variables that go into selecting the right school. And if you don't, I don't want to say you set yourself back, but you do. You kind of shortchange what your experience is going to be, right? And I think
For
that's
sure.
a good
And
point.
I think you can get into some dead ends,
Yeah,
that like you kind of feel stuck
yeah,
and there's not a lot of movement out of
yeah,
sometimes. And it's just like the recruiting process too, right? Like, I mean, you'll find an AD that you thrive under, right? And then
yeah,
you might find one that you don't.
yeah,
You're really kind of at odds with, or school culture, or whatever that is. So,
yeah,
no, I think nail on the head with that, with what you
yeah,
said. I think you got to be patient enough to find the one where you're going to keep forward momentum
yeah, yeah,
as a young coach,
yeah,
and not be one of the guys that, either gives up or kind of
yeah.
just goes into another avenue of
And I
life or
hate to
whatever.
say, like somebody with his talent, like I don't want to say disappears, but ends up disappearing from sort of the game and what people see of him, because he's someplace that is not his full potential, or not
Yeah.
exercise full potential. Hey, knowing this stuff that you don't know, like what is your like if you could fix something from last season, what is it? What would you want to fix, or what is on your docket to sort of say we have to resolve this one way or the other with the players that we have?
Hmm. I mean, we worked really hard in the spring on just kind of retraining that next group of guys to actually lead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's such a personality vacuum that left
Mm-hmm.
too. I mean, they were all on the field. I mean, there was games where we'd look out at they were doing starting lineups. I was like, gosh, dang it, like that's all of them. You know, it's like one kid coming back. Uh, so, but I think more importantly, like this spring, I think we found through a lot of just friction and some bumps in the roads of like the personality void that left, not just the player, void.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that we focused a ton on. It certainly wouldn't be something I would fix that last year needed fixing, but as soon as that group left,
You were
needed
on it.
fixing. You
Yeah.
could feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could feel that something was off, and guys needed to step forward pretty big steps in terms of
Mm-hmm.
just the personality space that they were taking up and leadership
Yeah.
kind of vacuums and all of that. So we worked a ton on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like fixing things, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of a big believer that everything, life happens how it happens, and it's kind of a futile exercise to look back and
Yeah.
wish things were different. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think
And it's
the
always
senior class,
wrong. Like it's
yeah,
always wrong.
for
It's
sure,
like,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
senior class that we just graduated, I mean, probably I think I would have to like really double check this answer, but I would put 99% on it that it's the most kind of decorated class to
Yeah.
come through Portland ever in terms of like number of wins and kind of accolades and
Yeah.
goals, like
Yeah.
a monster class.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um,
Definitely good soccer players, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like I wasn't kidding. I think 2 years ago, and even last year, I said I thought like you were kind of a dark horse to me. Like they were that talented that I thought, oh, if they won a national championship, I would not consider myself surprised. Like I thought you had the caliber, the talent of the team on the team to do that. Like again, you need
yeah,
50 things to happen, but
yep.
from a quality standpoint, I didn't think you were right there with everybody else that's sort of in that top notch group. So
Yeah, talent wise, I thought so too. Yeah.
yeah. Who? All right. This is your divination hat now. So what's a team? What's a team that you think we should that no one's looking at that we should be looking at? That's a loaded
Mm.
friggin' question. And it could be Suniac. It could be somewhere else. Like
Hmm. Should have prepped me with that one. I wouldn't have this awkward pause right now.
no, there's no prepping. There's no. This is
Um,
this is day one. This is day one of preseason. You got to be ready. Like I
yeah.
can't help you there. Got to be fit.
I mean, I think there's obviously something going on with Buff State
Yeah,
and I mean that in a really good way.
yeah. That's a
Like
great point.
they've taken some pretty big leaps forward with what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing on the field, and
Mm-hmm.
playing against them, you could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's just like a momentum and a feeling of a
Yeah,
game, like their belief and togetherness and all that. Like, I mean, kudos to them.
yeah,
Not just for the year that they had, but you could kind of feel that coming.
yeah,
I felt like in the
yeah,
last since COVID.
yeah,
Um, so definitely them. Like they have to be doing a lot of good things
yeah,
right internally.
yeah. They were
Um,
impressive too. Like total dark horse. You know.
yeah, and I think like the two kids, I think people gave them all the credit, right? Like they're two kind of superstar kids,
Yep.
uh, but incorrectly probably downplayed the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Like those two were great. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
but they had a cast around them that were also very,
Very
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 good,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Like you weren't just getting beat by two players in
No.
an average
No.
soccer
Not
team.
at all. Not at all.
So, anyways, yeah, I think them. They got to be doing something right. Kudos
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
and I
cool.
mean, there's probably a list I could
Yeah. Yeah.
name like that. I'm hesitant to go down that rabbit hole and like start a list, but then leave some
And
people
then
off the
and then
list.
offend people, and then you become the dartboard material. He didn't think much of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that
But
is
yeah,
very true
definitely
about.
number one, I think, in
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah.
I can kind of feel that coming for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They're doing
Yeah. Yeah. That's curious because they did. Unless you were paying attention or you had experience with them directly, I would say last year, everyone, at least I was just kind of like, who are these guys and what are they doing? And you could see flash in the pan type teams, right? Like, hey, they have a good year, then you expect them to totally fall off. But there was something about them where I'm like, these guys are too good for that. Like, I think the quality of soccer is so good that you're like, I gotta believe that they have something that they could fill that void in, so that next year that they're as competitive as they were this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
In recruiting trail wise, I mean, there's kids that, we looked at that we thought were maybe a little bit of a long shot that we're going to go to a higher level that we're
mm,
also talking to Buffalo,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're on the right trail too of,
Looking for the right players. Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Speaking of your recruiting class, how does that look? I asked you this before
Yeah.
last year, but or last time we
Um,
spoke, but
it'd be hard to find a coach that was like, yeah, I think they stink.
yeah,
We love them. We
yeah,
said, yeah, we are really excited to have them here. I think it's tough to be an 18-year-old in a college sport
yeah,
anymore. Like it's a different animal
yeah,
playing against 22-year-olds.
yeah,
Um, so we try and keep the expectations realistic for our young guys, so that way they don't look at the scenario in week 1 and 2 and think that they're a failure, because I think
mm,
that happens a lot. If you just
hmm,
if all the kids do ever in their life is just keep hearing all these positive things, like you're going to be amazing, like you're amazing, and then all of a sudden it's not, it kind of rocks their world a bit,
yeah,
reality. Um, so, we try and give them what we think that they need to work on, and like, here's what we, think that you're going to be doing in your first year. And we try and keep those expectations a little bit lower rather than just
yeah,
blowing smoke up them. So
yeah,
that way, when they get here, it's like it's a pleasant surprise when they do start to really
yeah,
climb
yeah,
quicker. Um, and again, like usually, um, your psyche kind of gets rocked when what you think, the story you're telling yourself is different than what's actually
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
But I'm really excited about them. I mean, they're like great kids. Colby did an incredible job of like putting us onto all the, you know, high school kids that we needed to. And
Hmm.
um, people tell us that we have an amazing class coming in, that know. And like, that's a good sign, when people around the state that
Yeah, are
are
noticing.
really in tune with club soccer are like, oh
Yeah,
my God, that kid, like, whew, that's
yeah,
incredible pickup.
yeah,
So we're hearing great things about him. I'm really excited about our incoming freshman.
yeah,
I think it's if I could compare it, like it's a really holistic class,
yeah.
like position wise, personality wise. I think they are going to look and feel a lot like the class we just graduated.
Interesting.
Um, and just in terms of like, the number of them and the type of kids they are, it's a really like full comprehensive class, which is great. And then we also got, I mean, a bunch of transfers. We got 4 kids that joined us in January,
Wow.
who all did very well. Great kids, really bought in, no issues at all. Um, and then a few more that'll come and transfer in August as well. So
Were they were they D1 guys?
yeah, one of them was a Division 2
Uh huh.
player, and then the rest of them came from the Division 1 level.
Can
Yeah.
I ask you just very broadly and not to like what was the rationale for those guys? I'm assuming they did maybe a portal or but who decided, you know what, Division 1. And I'm it's literally curiosity because it's there's a difference between what you hear, right, and what coaches tell you, and then what the players are actually experiencing and why they go and they transfer. So I'm just curious. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think. Um, Well, it's probably the intersection of a couple things. One, male ego at 18, right, is like you want to
Really?
climb to the highest point. You think you're the man,
I'm the
and then you
man.
realize that like it's a pretty big ocean you're swimming in.
Yeah,
That's number one. Sitting on a bench sucks, right? Like players just want to play.
yeah,
You're gonna have that like hard time.
hmm,
Most of them are gonna have a hard time no matter what school they pick at 18 years old.
yeah,
And if you don't have a program that is also really caring about you, I think it's easy to
yeah,
feel like you're not in the in group, you're in the
yeah,
out group,
yeah,
right? And the second you have someone that feels like they're in the out group, why wouldn't you go try
yeah,
and change your scenario?
yeah,
And then for us, we are, it's a state school price. We do great with out of state price
hmm,
kids. A lot of them are going to end up paying less here than they did even if they were on a
Yeah.
partial scholarship, right? Like men's soccer is not a money sport,
Yeah.
so um, I think you take like playing time, not feeling a part of it, price tag,
Yeah.
and then I think we can offer those, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Yeah.
if your price is lower, you're going to be
Yeah.
on the field, and
Yeah.
you're going to feel much more a part of what
Yeah.
you're doing. No brainer.
Yeah. I've been saying for a while, and I think this is the result of club soccer starting at the U8s, going at like I think slowly people it's dawning on people that maybe the most important thing is for a player to play
Yeah,
and
for sure.
not be not be not reach this level because you've reached the level, but if you're not playing,
Yep.
it's useless. So you'd rather be lower but play, right? Because right, playing's a reward for training, and if you're training and training and training and not getting that reward, then what are you doing, right? Like, I think there's more people that are coming to that realization that getting on the field and contributing is much more valuable than being able to say, "Hey, look, I play for super elite academy team or
Yeah.
Division 1 college," right? I think that's
Yep.
very
And I mean, we kind of like everybody's just built to play the status game.
yeah,
Humans in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's ingrained
yeah,
probably long,
yeah,
long time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Evolutionary to play this status game, but it just doesn't work with feeling fulfilled, right?
yeah.
Like that actually isn't the
No,
ticket
no.
to happiness, fulfillment, right? Like
Yeah,
mental
yeah,
health.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
two separate things that
yeah.
actually probably contradict each other in a lot of ways.
Totally, totally. That's why I tell the simple players, right? It's all about humility. Like you want to stay humble, and you don't. The status will come to where this when the status comes. It's staying humble enough to know that it's not the time. It's not and there's
Yeah,
a better route, and you could
yeah,
just find that fulfillment another way or a different path or whatever that might be. Just
yeah.
not the situation that you think you're pursuing because you want to be able to tell everybody, look how great I am.
Well, yeah, and like what I don't know what principle that is. Peter principle, maybe something like that,
Yeah.
where it's like everybody just kind of keeps getting promoted to a level of
Oh
incompetence.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, eventually, you
My
keep
former
playing the
boss.
status game.
Yeah,
You're going to end up unhappy,
yeah,
right? Where like
yeah,
you're actually not successful. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
everybody has that. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if unless you're the best player in the world, you could go climb to a level where you're not good anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And like, what's the point of that?
yeah.
I mean, that's the ticket to feeling terrible about yourself.
Well, that's
You
why
know,
you hear all the stories about those people who you think, oh my God, they got it all, they had it all, they have it all. Look, it's everything checks every box of like, and you find out like they're, you know, majorly on drugs, their life is screwed up, and they're absolutely miserable. And you're like, why? How can that be? And it's all fleeting.
for
All
sure.
that stuff is fleeting.
Well, and that's, I mean, just like I think we can kind of understand that in a career sense, right? Like the
Yeah,
second you have a family, right? Like you've got multiple buckets of
yeah,
life that you've got to spend your time in,
yeah,
feel fulfilled, right? And like
yeah,
if you only put it in the career bucket, well, your marriage is going to go out the window,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah,
your
yeah,
kids and other things suffer. And I think and college soccer players are no different. That if the only thing driving their self identity is one thing,
yeah,
right? The other things are going to kind of crumble, and then life
yeah,
doesn't feel great,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So yeah, I think take all of that into account. And I think club soccer is notorious for that of just chasing letters and tournaments and
Yeah. Oh,
exposure.
totally.
And you're like,
That's a very good point. Like,
right?
let's be real. It's ingrained, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
ingrained starting at the youngest of levels that pursuit of something that might not necessarily give you all that satisfaction, but that it's sort of this mental process in which you just sort of have to build up to the highest level, and because that's what you have to do, and
yeah,
and I think when they get to college, I think there's no surprise that a lot of players are like D1 or bust or whatever it is that they're pursuing, because that's sort of the way they've been trained. Like I don't,
yeah.
it shouldn't be a surprise. Wow, we
And I
just
think
went down a great rabbit hole, though. But it's
psychological
true.
rabbit.
It's very true. That's the sort of thing I don't think. I think people are reckoning with, especially, and I think the whole NCAA, everything that's going on in the NCAA is shaking that out, right? Like if you're not, I always say, if you're not one of the top 100 players in this country, like there's something about you're not getting a look at the Division One, like those elite Division One programs, and
Right.
it's all just going to flow down from there. And I think that's a reality that I think people are starting to dawn in on.
Well, I mean, look at club soccer. You got like 9 national championships or something.
Yeah,
You know? So it's like you got a kid that thinks they're a national champion
yeah,
in the 7th division, and you're like, then their world is rocked. We're like, why are there no coaches
Why-
on the side?
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. I know a
so
team.
I don't know if that's like doing justice to the mental health thing of athletes and all that.
I know a local team that I've reffed. I know the coaches. I know the club. I know, and they won a national championship. And I was like, they won a national, like who? I think, and I ended up reffing a game. And I was like, half the time, I was just kind of like, these guys are national champions. Like who are they? You know, like some guy,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that must have been that national champion. I don't know, but you're like, okay, well, like if you say you are, that's great trophy. But
And I say that coming from like we're in Division 3 and we
yeah,
have a national
yeah,
championship,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah,
levels to this thing, you know? You're
yeah,
like you have to keep it in perspective.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
when kids are like in the recruiting process, they're like, no, I want to become a pro. And you're like, well, then you wouldn't be sitting in this office. You know, like, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, like, there's levels of this thing.
yeah,
We
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
be, our worlds wouldn't have collided if you were really on that path when you
yeah,
were 17
yeah,
years
yeah,
old,
yeah.
right? And there's a
Like I said, if
difference
you're
in,
not one of those 100 players,
right,
you would know if you were one of those 100 players.
for
And the
sure.
fact that you don't, that ought to tell you. That ought to be that flag. Be like, I'm not one of the 100 players.
Right.
Yeah.
And I try to like reframe kids like the professional path, you know,
Hmm.
or whatever. I'm like, look, if professional to you means from 20 to 20, 22 to 26, you're going to bounce around a couple of different foreign countries and, you know, barely make ends meet and like,
Yeah.
you know, sleep in pretty terrible
Yeah.
accommodations and
Yeah. Yeah.
have enough not to die, but
Yeah.
you get to travel the world and meet new people. Cool.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem, right? Like play in the 4th division somewhere,
Yeah.
make enough to make ends meet, but you get to
Yeah.
travel and experience life, no problem. That to me is like that should be like if that's a realistic goal, okay,
Yeah.
right? Like we can work on that.
Yeah.
But
I
true
a
would
buddy
not be
of
sitting in the Cortland
yeah,
men's soccer office.
a buddy of mine was the director of soccer at FC Barcelona years ago, and I remember meeting with him, and we were just talking about the game, and he goes, "People don't understand that outside of the sort of like those top tiers, like soccer is a wasteland. You can't even guarantee that whatever they're paying you, you're going to get paid. Like it's like, and for all the rules that they have, it's like it just still happens. So, hey, you might be playing 5th division, great for you, but you're going to need a job, and you're going to need and he just sort of rattled off these things, and it was like that moment I was like, oh my god, like all of that stuff just sort of fell by the wayside. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like it's not wrapped up to be all this wonderful, great clothes, beautiful women, like all that stuff. That is not it. That is
No,
not. That's not the reality of 95% of the ball players out there, and that they're
for
just going.
sure. And I think that's why like, you know, people wonder why the influx of the international player here, and you're like, the facilities, the
They
like the
know because
staff,
they know.
like, I can't get this unless I'm in the very first division. Like this doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're like, I can be a bang average player in
yeah,
my country and come here and get that same experience for
yeah,
4 years. No brainer.
yeah, yeah,
And that's one thing that I don't think our American kids realize,
yeah.
like
Oh,
how good they have it in the sports world.
yeah,
But I mean, even like all these clubs, like so many of these clubs have just like fully kitted out,
yeah,
right? And the way that they
yeah.
travel and all that, and like it's just a really dressed up fancy
Yeah,
rec league, some of
yeah,
these, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Full Nike this, Nike that,
yeah,
everything. And you're like, it just doesn't exist
yeah,
in other places. We're just filled with abundance that we don't even see.
yeah, yeah.
And we
Oh,
have it at the
very,
top,
very true.
you know,
We
like,
think the abundance is everywhere else, and
yeah,
everywhere else they're like, I want to go to the States, right? Like,
yeah.
you know,
99% of kids in the world are like, I'll take your worst day ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Please. Right? Like,
Yeah.
the worst day you've ever experienced, I would love
Yeah.
to have those all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
And
great point. That's a
it's
great
true
point.
for college athletics too, right?
Yeah.
Like how good that they have it. And
Yeah.
so one of the big things that I preach and we harp on, and like I actually practice a ton myself, is like gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, I tell a story that I don't know if I should tell you on air, but uh, one of my like first years coaching, we basically made I didn't think that the team was very grateful for like kind of just the whole experience.
Yeah.
And so we made them hang everything that they've ever been given by Cortland soccer or Cortland on the fence. And they had to train like looking at it as like the backdrop. And then I was like, all right, well, when you're done, like as many push-ups as you think you can, like is
Yeah.
going to deserve those clothes back, right?
Yeah.
Like when you earn it, you go and pick it up. And so all the guys are like doing push-ups, like looking around, like I don't want to be the first one. Like, it was incredible.
Yeah. That's true. I live
Yeah,
by that, dude. I cannot go a day without being grateful for something just because
yeah,
having been in the non-grateful part in the world, that is such a miserable it drives you to really not good things and I just find if I wake up in the morning, I'm just grateful to be breathing. That's a great start to the day, and all that stuff.
yep.
And it just comes from there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I make our guys read. There's a like a letter I have a photo of. It's from a kid in foster care
Mm-hmm.
that was like, kind of write what you want in your next family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's just heart-wrenching, heartbreaking things,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah,
like you would assume everyone has, but they don't, right?
yeah,
And it's in every community
yeah,
that's this is happening. And so our player, we read it like once a week,
yeah,
and it's just like part of our gratitude cycle. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, the line at Duncan was too long this morning. You're like,
yeah,
all right, like let's read this again
yeah,
because we've seemed to have lost our way a bit.
yeah,
I think that's like human nature is to,
yeah,
we're like great at threat
yeah,
detecting, and like the things that we wish we had that we don't. And
yeah.
I don't know, sometimes you just take a step back. And
So
so
this
like
is
for us, like, right, like, I don't know, we made the NCAA tournament. People are like, oh, well, what would you do different? You lost in the first round. You're
yeah,
like, I don't know,
yeah,
a hell of a year, right? Like,
yeah,
what did
yeah.
you do that year?
That's
Like, I don't know.
Coach Desitel. We've had this conversation before, and I've even found myself doing it where he's like, "We had a hell of a year. We lost to Buffalo State." I'm like, "Oh, that must be so disappointing," like,
Yeah,
and you're like, you're one of the last 16 or 18 team, whatever the number, whatever the teams, like and you can't figure out. Like I couldn't even. Sometimes I can't get through my own BS sometimes where it's like, that's a great, and it is a tremendous accomplishment, and just sort of get caught up in the other thing. It's funny,
for sure.
this is probably, I shouldn't say this recorded, but whatever. I got sober like 7 years ago, like, my sponsor at the time was always big on grateful. Send me your gratitude list for the day. Send me your gratitude list for the day. And you find, like, if you do that enough times, like, it's okay to be grateful. Oh, I got a roof over my head and blah, 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 blah. Right? But you find yourself like, I'm going to kind of repeat the same things I'm grateful for. And he goes, that's the point. Because now you want to start looking at those little things where you want to be grateful. Hey, maybe you should be grateful that the line at Dunkin' Donuts was a little longer than you anticipated, because maybe that led you to have a conversation with somebody you wouldn't have a conversation with. And so I'm like, oh, coffee's too hot. I'm grateful that it's warm. Like, I needed a hot cup of coffee too. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a psychology thing. And I don't want to say nothing bothers me, because a lot does bother me, and I still need all of the things that I've learned and the tools that I have, but a lot less bothers me. I don't get wound up because somebody in front of me is going too slow, or I don't get wound up, like that.
Sure.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
we went down. That's a little deep.
No, and I like mine is so like Gamala beads.
Uh
It's kind
huh.
of like the square beads. So there's 108 beads, and so every day I'll go bead by bead, and I'll just like in my head list off the 108 things that like that day I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And it's a ton, right? Like when you first start doing it,
You
it's
think it's
hard.
easy? Yeah. You're
Yeah,
like, oh, my
so
car and the
hard.
this and that's like whatever.
But then you get like into this
Yeah.
like I see how cool it is to have running water in my house. Like
Yeah.
thanks. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that was one. He's always, are you grateful that you have running water? Because
Yeah, you're
100 years ago they didn't have running water. You're like, oh, I'm
yeah,
totally grateful for that.
like
Like,
a warm shower,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, I'm grateful for that. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
see how cool that is.
Yeah.
I'll pay respect to that.
Yeah.
So we do a ton of that here, like
Yeah.
of just kind of gratitude, and
Yeah.
I think
That's awesome. I love that.
offsetting a lot of that, like,
Yeah.
status game, club
Yeah.
soccer stuff,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like, where they come from, of just
It
always.
clears the deck too, right? Like it clears the deck to concentrate on the things that matter.
Mhm.
Like what I mean. Like I always found, and I always look back when I was playing. Like you get caught up in, especially in college, right? And it just the nature of college and sort of the social aspects and all this stuff. Like you get caught up in sort of the thick of thin things, right? That don't really matter much, but they start occupying your mind. And then the first thing that impacts is the stuff that matters. And so like if you're really into the soccer, it starts to impact how you play because your mind is somewhere else. And if you show the gratitude and you sort of clean that slate every day, hey,
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be on the soccer field. How's that going to be? And you sort of get this this boost of enthusiasm going through it. I think that matters.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
Yeah.
all right, Coach. So we went deep. Wow, this is heavy. This, this is
Hate to
heavy.
be the next coach after this one.
What's that?
I hate to be the next coach after
Yeah,
this
yeah. Yeah. I stand.
Not bad.
I think I'm next is Coach Dayon at John Carroll University. I don't know if you
Okay.
know him. Great guy. Great
Yeah.
guy. I hate John Carroll, but I do. He's such a great guy. It's hard to hate him. I always say, you make it
Fair
so
enough.
hard for me to hate you. This is one that you're not prepared for. It's the last question. Last question.
I need a sip of coffee for this.
I'll get one too. All right. Who wins the national championship this year?
Dang. This is going to kill me, but I'm going to say Tufts. And Des is gonna-
Really? Really?
Yeah. I don't want to like put bad juju out there for him.
No bad juju for him. That's a great call. Can I just tell you in the
Just
back?
because I like him so much. Like, I hope he gets one. Like,
Yeah.
I would, in the realm of like how happy I would be
Yeah.
for someone to get a national championship, I would be 1 and he would be like 1.1. Like, he's just such a great guy. I love him.
Yeah.
We see him
Oh.
every day. And so, yeah, I hope he gets one.
So two things. First, I still want to do, now that I'm back on a roll, I still want to get you and Coach Desitel on a podcast all together,
right.
and
Yeah.
we'll just sort of talk. I don't have no idea what we
We
talk
did
about.
both sign off on that. So
What's that?
I said we did both
Yeah,
sign off on it.
yeah. So I just gotta, like I said, I had to take the hiatus. So now I'll figure that out. And two, I will say this: I had an exchange with him via email after they lost to Buffalo State, and I don't know. I hate to. Sometimes I talk, and sometimes I feel like I'm being critical, but I thought that they're this close. You know what I mean? Like they're this close. He's this close to getting that, and maybe this is the year, right? Because I think the expectation was that last year might have been the year. They had a bunch of guys like seniors and all that stuff. Maybe it's this year. Maybe they needed to go through last year to get through to this year. I can totally see it. Totally see
Again,
it.
sometimes like we just read into like, oh, there's a ton of seniors. They
Yeah,
should
yeah.
be like
Maybe that's what's holding you back. I don't know.
I don't know if that's part of the equation. Because also like all those seniors get told all the time, oh, this is gonna be your year.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to play from the underdog role of like nobody says that you should be number one.
Yeah.
Or like it's kind of like the curse of the number one ranking, right? Like,
Yeah. Sports
the hard thing to
Illustrated.
deal with. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
psychologically, it just becomes a burden. You're like, oh my God, if I don't deliver, right? Yeah. Or there's this, well, we're number one, so somebody should roll, Buffalo State should basically lie down and let us score 4 goals on them, right?
Yeah.
They have a vote too, so anyhow.
and it's such a low scoring game. It's really hard to score goals.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that was the quintessential soccer game, if you ask me, right?
Mhm.
Like watching that, I'm like, man, Tufts deserved how many goals? Like I thought they deserved a number of goals, but for whatever reason they didn't, and then Buffalo State gets the one, and you're like, there it is. That sort of encapsulates
the game.
the game. You're like,
all signed up to coach.
yeah. Like there's no, it's
all
all
of our stress meters on that game.
yeah. So Anyhow, I got to
No,
get
yeah,
him on.
I'm not.
So,
I'm not like a junkie, but they've what's that like expected goals stat or
yeah,
something like that? There's something like that. Who knows? I
yeah,
don't. I try to
yeah,
watch it, but
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, they had a ton of expected goals in that
Yeah,
game.
that's why I'm
They
like, oh,
played
that
well.
should have gone
They
in.
played
Oh,
really
that hit the crossbar. Oh, that
hard.
is
Yeah.
keeper made some crazy wild save. I don't know how he pulled that one off, but hey.
Yep.
And then Buffalo State gets the opportunity, and they're like, oh, okay. You're just like the game just went on its head, like the way it does.
Yep.
So anyhow, Coach.
Anyways, hope he gets one. That's my vote.
Yeah. All right. That's a valid one. I totally valid one. And the Buffalo State call out was very, very good too. I give you 2 points for that. Like if that
Nice.
matters.
Is that 2-0? Do you have
Yeah, yeah.
points?
You're leading 2-0. So
Nice.
anyhow, hey, as always, thank you very much. It's so fantastic talking to you. Hopefully one of these days we can catch up in person and do a call.
Of course. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, thanks for having me again. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Tell Colby
It'll
I said
always-
hello. I got my eye on him. Let's go. Fully expect him to do all the work this fall. And
That's right.
You kick back and
I'm going to take a sabbatical. Yeah, trail running, hiking.
yeah, why not? More pictures of you hiking. Just that's all I expect from you this
Perfect.
fall.
I can do that. That I can guarantee.
Yeah. So, all right, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yep.